This is the pre-lab video for the mass and volume lab, which is the first activity in our Unit 1 skill number 3. Please watch this whole video and take some notes on the slide so that you are prepared to do the lab the next day. In this lab activity, you are going to start looking at the third and final skill for Unit 1. And that skill is that you can graphically, experimentally, mathematically determine the mass, volume, and density of an object. So we've already been looking at how to determine the mass of an object experimentally by using a scale. In this lab, you're going to look at how to find the volume of an object and then using that mass and the volume to discover what density of an object is. Okay, so volume. Previously to this lab, we have done a couple labs that involved finding the mass of a substance. And we said that the mass is the number of particles in a substance. So the more particles something has, the greater the mass. Well, now we're going to start looking at the volume. Okay? And so volume is the amount of space an object takes up, whether you're talking about a liquid, a solid, or a gas. All of those three phases of matter have volume. They all take up some amount of space. So the question in the lab, and I would like you to put this into your notebook and then give me a hypothesis, is what you're trying to discover in the lab is what is the relationship between mass and volume of an object. So in your notebook, I would like you to write a hypothesis. And I want you to tell me what you think the relationship is between mass and volume. Okay, this video is going to step you through the procedures of the lab to ensure that you are doing it correctly and safely. So the first thing you need to do is get the two cylinders out of your bucket. Make sure you have one painted green and one painted yellow. You are going to find the mass of each of these individually by using the digital scale. So again, a reminder with your digital scale is to make sure that it reads 0. You're going to put the yellow cylinder on there, record the mass. So the mass is 37.9 for the yellow, and I'm going to repeat the same thing, the green one, ensuring that it is 0. Put my green one on there, okay? And so I have both of my masses recorded. The next thing that you need to do is find the volume of the cylinders. So you're going to find the volume of the cylinder by a method called water displacement. To do this, what you need to do is fill your graduated cylinder with a certain amount of water. The initial amount does not matter, okay, because you're going to record that amount in your table. So my graduated cylinder, when you use it and you are recording the volume, you need to leave the cylinder flat on the desk and bring yourself down to eye level with the cylinder. These graduated cylinders measure to 1 milliliter, so please make sure that you are estimating to the 10th spot. So your final answer should be to a 1/10 of a milliliter. So if I look at my graduated cylinder, I am seeing that it's about 57.8. Okay, so on my lab sheet, I am going to fill that in the volume of just the water. So that is my initial volume. So I said that it was 57.8. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take that graduated cylinder and I'm going to put the metal cylinder into it. Now, the safest way to do this so that you are not cracking the bottom of the glass is to take your graduated cylinder, tip it slightly on its side, not enough for the water to spill out, and let the cylinder slide down. If you drop it from the very top, you will break the graduated cylinder. Okay, so now what you should notice is that when you place that yellow cylinder into the liquid rose up a certain number of milliliters. So you need to look and see what is my new volume. Again, leaving it flat on the desk and measuring to 1/10 of a milliliter. So I see that my new volume is about 62.5. Okay, so I am going to put that in the volume of the water with the cylinder inside, so 62.5. So then you're going to repeat that same thing with the green cylinder. Okay, so in order to get your cylinder back out, you're simply going to dump the water into your sink and catch the cylinder before it spills. So I'm just going to dump it out. Okay. And to find the volume of the green cylinder, I'm going to repeat this same activity by filling it up with a certain amount of water. Again, your amount does not matter as long as you are recording the initial volume of water before the cylinder goes in there. Okay, so once you have done that, so I have my initial water, which was 57.8, and then when I added the cylinder, it rose up to 62.5. So to find my volume of just the cylinder itself, I need to subtract these two numbers. So as you can see, there is a formula given there. The volume of the water with the cylinder minus the volume of just the water. So I end up with a volume of 4.7. Okay. When you get this data, you are going to record on the class spreadsheet the mass of both the cylinders and the volume of just the cylinder. To clean up this lab, you simply need to empty all the liquid out of your bucket, out of your graduated cylinder, dry both the green and yellow cylinders, and throw your trash away. So this slide simply reviews again how to find volume by the method of water displacement. So when I was doing my calculations, I found that the volume of the water with the cylinder inside came out to be 62.5 milliliters. The volume of the water I initially used was 57.8. So subtracting those two numbers, I find the volume of just the cylinder itself to be 4.7 milliliters.